What's going on, everybody? It's the Creative Fro, checking back in for another episode of Fireside Tech. I hope you enjoyed your week and are ready to learn something new, because today I'm going to be recapping the 5 steps it takes to achieve cinematic footage. If you didn't see last Wednesday's video, go check it out. I went over the 5 steps it takes to achieve cinematic footage, so today we are putting those steps into use. Before I dive into today's video, let me remind you real quick to hit the big red subscribe button if you've yet to already, and also turn that notification bell on just for fun. So the first thing I talked about in the last video was achieving smooth footage, and for that you'd need a gimbal, a glide cam, or any sort of stabilization that will keep your video as still as possible. So in this video shoot I did, I was able to use my XVIII crane for most of the shots. A couple of them were handheld, but I made sure to stay as sturdy as possible with my elbows in, and only used about 1 to 2 seconds of that clip because most of that was shaky, so I had to find the most sturdy part of it and use that. So that's how we achieved our smooth footage. The next point was slow-mo footage. And to turn our smooth footage into slow-mo footage, what I did was tape everything in 60 frames per second. So now in Final Cut Pro, I can take all these clips here and slow them down. What I usually like to do in Final Cut Pro is there's an option called automatic speed. So I'll choose this on any clip that I want to slow down that I taped at 60 frames. And what automatic speed does is it slows down the clip automatically to 40 or 20%, depending on however you taped it, and it just makes the footage look more dramatic. Or if you want to go the more traditional way, you could choose the clip and just slow motion it by the 3 options that are on the drop bar in Final Cut Pro. You have 50%, 25%, and 10%. All of these are good options. It's just up to you and what fits in your video edit style. So our third step now is shallow depth of field. To achieve this, you're gonna wanna have your aperture at a low setting, anywhere from 1.4 to a 2.8, and get close up in front of your object that you're shooting to make that background blurry. For this video, I only ended up with about 3 or so shallow depth of field shots to kind of highlight some of the atmosphere of the event. Now with these shallow depth of field clips, you can also slow it down to automatic too as well, and that's going to give it a nice dramatic look, and the shot will last longer too as well, and you can just cut it off and start it to wherever you want. Step 4, we're moving on to the color grade now. I taped all of this footage in a cine style format. That is a flat image profile, which gives me more ability in post-production to pull out the colors and bring back that retained information. So as you can see here, I'm just going to go by clip and just pull out these colors again, and then go into the color wheels and make adjustments based on the color panel that you see on the left here, the red, green, and blue, and I use these to make sure that all my footage is the same. So at the top marks your highlight, and you can see 100. I want to keep everything under 100, and at the bottom here you can see a 0, and I want to make sure nothing is below the 0. That's a good rule of thumb to make sure all of your color grade is the same on each clip before you add a look to that video. Now that I've went through and individually changed the color correction on each clip, I'm going to add a look to the overall video. So to do this, you're just going to want to grab an adjustment layer, and then on that adjustment layer, you're going to want to drag it to the end of the timeline so it stays over every clip. You're going to go into the effects panel and type in LUT, L-U-T, and you'll see custom LUT pop up. We're going to drag that onto our adjustment layer, and then from here, you can choose any custom LUTs that you have downloaded, or you can also use the curves to adjust your whole overall image look. So our last step, step number 5, all we have to do is add a letterbox to the final edit. You're gonna go back into the effects panel, type in letterbox, drag that letterbox effect on top of the adjustment layer that you already added that color LUT to. In the inspector tab, you can change the letterbox aspect ratio by clicking down, and you can choose any aspect ratio you want. By cinematic standard, the proper aspect ratio is gonna be 2.35.1, and that's usually what I would choose if I'm gonna put a letterbox on. But if you wanna change up the look and make it smaller, you can do that. And this is how you usually see movies at a movie theater or when you're watching them at home, so it really drills home that cinematic style. Please like the video if you did. Comment down below if there's anything you want to see for Fireside Tech, and share this video if you think it could help somebody. I hope you guys enjoy this upcoming week and crush it. I can't wait to see you next Sunday in front of this fire again. It's a Creative Fro, and I'm out. Action.
As of this weekend, we have 191 paid members, which is awesome. That breakdown is 37 Model X owners, 105 Model S, 49 Model 3.